Hello everyone. Just now I am showing you Oxford School Atlas, and this is the ninth edition. Oxford School Atlas is the one of the best material for the who is preparing competition and any competition exam which is including the government exam. Okay, and this is the one of the best books which is involve atlas. That means there are three types part in this atlas. The first is political maps, second is physical maps, and the third is thematical maps. Okay, so atlas mainly three parts: physicals, politicals, and thematicals. And this each book using Khan sir. Khan sir are teaching a lot of students through these books, because this books is the one of the best. And you can see very clearly. Suppose that this is the globe and you can see properly, and his page is also very big, and very strong. If you use any times, no problems. And given that all the manchitra, that means a map, uh, you know 7 continent already given that, briefly and deeply given that. If you study in history, then you have to use the map. And I think this is the one of best books, the 9th edition of Oxford School Atlas. So I gonna share you, and his price is very less. If you ordered by Flipkart, Amazon, any apps through, then I think it is adding delivery charged. So I give you simple tips to you. Here you can see 290.50. Okay, 290.50 is the price. And if you want to buy this book, then you go to your nearby bookshop. You can easily can get from there, because every book store in available Oxford School Atlas. But my simple suggestion to you, if you want this book and if you buy this book, then you have only buy by 9th edition, because 9th edition feature is very useful for every student. Here you can see given that the Rajasthan, Gujarat, very briefly, one by one state is givenly by very briefly. And so also here given that the picture of Taj Mahal, Agra, and given that also lot of I think if you reading or earning knowledge, then you have to prepare through the maps, because maps through, if we are trying to read, that means it is very useful for every place. So here you can see given that the Bharat, India's map, this is the southern parts, and here is it is politicals map, and here is given that the physicals map. So in a one page given that the two types of maps, physicals and politicals. So you can use very easily, and also given that the thematicals. Okay, so politicals, physicals, and thematicals, three parts are involved in this at last Oxford School maps. So it is very useful to you. If you want to buy this book, then you can easily buy your nearby bookshops. It is better, because its price is very low. That means 290.50. The political maps is available in the market by language. That means two language. You can also buy this book Hindi language, or also English language. It is your choice. If you CBSE student, then you have to buy English language. But if you your government school and you trying in Hindi English mediums, no problem, you then this time you have to buy Hindi mediums. So this is the book very useful for the who is preparing competition, also government job. So my simple suggestion to you, if you want to score more than from history, geography, civics and as well as graphically, then you have to buy this book and prepare, because these books through we can learn very easily. And suppose that when I forgotten a lot of time which is Red Sagar, which is Caspian Sagar, Prashant Mahasagar, Arab Sagar, and also you can say Hind Mahasagar. So this time we can forgetly very easily because we learned. But when in our mind in symbolics, that means sample, this time we can learn very easily and also memorize any question answer. Okay, so this book is very helpful because given that the very easily and briefly and shortly and also deeply, suppose that you are doing here, you can see given that the all given that Caspian Sagar, here you can see Caspian Sagar and here you can see Kala Sagar. So Caspian Sagar and Kala Sagar between Kakesh Parvatmala. So if you seen this, then this time your memory can say yes, I have know the Caspian Sagar, Kala Sagar between Kakesham Parvatmala. So if you ask this type of question, okay, then you can solve very easily. So here you can see given that the very briefly, if you are a best student and if you want to waste education in your history, geography especially, then you have to buy this book, given that the Brazil and also here you can see Quito, Ecuador, and very briefly and deeply. So it is very helpful to you. That means 7 continents are involved in this book. Asia, Africa, Uttar America, Dakshin America, Antarctica, and Europe, and the last is Oceania. Okay, so 7 continent is given that the very briefly, in this world 212 country. In this world 212 country, and 212 country, all are country involved in this Atlas Oxford school maps. So you have to very useful if you are using this book. And also here you can see given that the Rajdhani, that means country and capitals also given, that here you can see country and here given that the capitals. Okay, so it is very useful to you because given that the country, capitals, and also rupees money symbol. So and if you going to the last page, okay, I will show you the last page what is given that the last page. Here you can see a lot of flag, national flag, which is using the national countries, given that international countries, national countries using the international flag are national flags, given that suppose that this is the Azerbaijan, given that the a lot of flags symbolic, given that this book. If you change the another page, here you can see given that and also given that the very, if you preparing competition and government job, then that means you have to use this book, because I already told what is its useful, where you can use. If you complete this book, that means you have no any question to solve. That means you can very easily solve this type of questions. If you want to score your more than marks in competition and government job, then you have to buy this book, because after buy this book and if you learn this book, then that means when you going to the exam hall, this time you increasing your score more than, and finished this book. I given to briefly knowledge in these books. Okay, and at last point I told his price, already I told 290.50, very useful. I hope this book's knowledge gone to your mind, and if you are a student then you have to try this book. Thanks.